Rolling here. Boom, rolling. Sweet, man. So we got about an hour. Cam Smith, man, thanks for coming on. This is going to be a good time. You living in Minnesota?
Nope, I'm actually in Denver right now.
Denver.
Yep,
Got it.
we moved here in April, and yeah, it's been good.
You like
Enjoy it.
Denver?
Yeah, I like Colorado more than I like Denver. I think it's Denver's a little bit. I think it's quite outgrown its infrastructure, to be honest with you. But the potential and I guess diversity of uh, activities to do in Colorado is nice. So we're an hour from anything we want to do, and that's kind of convenient for us. So yeah, it's
Yeah, we,
good.
we were just there a few weeks ago. I'd never been there apart from like a layover flight because I live in
Hmm.
Montana. So you got to connect in Denver to pretty much go anywhere.
Hmm.
And but we actually spent a weekend there. And it's an interesting place, man. We caught a ball game, and there's a lot of free spirits running around downtown and shit. It was definitely good people watching for sure, to say the least.
Oh yeah, there's some interesting cats. I mean that's any city though for you, but yeah, there's I've always the homeless people in Denver are um I don't know, they're on so many drugs that I feel like they just don't even know where they're at. So it's like you walk by people and they're just like, um, I don't know, they're just not like scary or sketchy. They're just like off in their own world. You're like, all right, like just whatever.
I
But
felt
that's
that.
that's
I
Denver
felt that too. Yeah, just kind of minding their own business, really.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, this is fun, man. I've been following you for a while, and I did like a thing on my page saying who I should interview, and I think Kobe mentioned you, and I was like, well, I was gonna ask him down the road anyway, so this worked out really good.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was glad that you ended up commenting on that and kind of taking it to the next step because it's yeah, um, I had seen obviously Kobe on, and then, um, but yeah, I think these podcasts are fun, and it allows, um, it's kind of a hot thing, hot commodity right now. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are wanting to do, a certain podcast on just mixing it up. So I think it's cool to hear different people's perspectives, and like, yeah, I'm glad to be here. So.
Yeah, they're definitely really popular. Have you been on a lot of them?
Yeah, I've been on a few. A lot of it, a lot more when I was playing. And then now I think I've done a few in the last couple of weeks, just kind of, um, I don't know, a lot of some different exposure deals recently, like just taking pictures for the Vikings and some stories coming out there. So there's been a couple different people asking me to be on some podcasts, and I'm always for them. So yeah.
Why were you taking pictures for the Vikings? I thought you played soccer.
Not soccer. I'm a fan of Ted Lasso. That's probably the closest thing I'm gonna get to soccer. Um, but yeah, no,
Are-
that was a pretty cool experience, honestly.
You got to take pictures at camp this year?
Yeah, I was there for about 2.5 weeks. The creative or like the head of photography for the team, Andy, is, in my opinion, one of the best to do it. He's just, um,
What's
you
his
know,
name?
his name is Andy Canutis. His Instagram name is Vikings Photog, and he's just like I don't know. He's just an artist, man. Like I think some people can look at photography and not feel like it's an art form, um, but the way that he captures still imagery is for sure an art, and getting to learn and just kind of be a part of his process and take myself to the next level too. It was such an incredible experience, and I think is so far has impacted my career in a lot of different ways within, I mean, very fast too. So, yeah, that was a great experience, and forever debt to Minnesota and the Vikings.
How long have you been taking photos?
I bought my first camera in 2019. That was when I was training for the combine, and we were getting, kind of the first time getting like a paycheck, and so I saved up, started taking taking a couple courses, and so I wouldn't say I really dove into taking photos until probably maybe a little over a year and a half ago where I was like just full blown, this is what I love to do. But I had kind of understood the concept and um, just I guess when I say that, I say understanding how to take a photo because I think there's a lot of people that could just grab a camera and throw that thing on auto and let it run. But the understanding of what the exposure triangle is all about and how to just frame a shot, stuff like that. So, but I didn't really start practicing or developing my style until I would say, yeah, 2 years ago was probably 2000, maybe 2020 at its earliest form. So a couple, yeah, that was probably the first time that I was like really into it and figuring out what I was capable of doing and just having fun with it. So, yeah.
There's a million ways I want to go with this thing, and I did want to touch on photography. So now that we're on the topic, we'll just go with it. Why? Like, what draws you to it? What? I mean, you got the bug obviously now, but why photography?
Oh man. I I always, when I was playing football, I didn't really have time to do much of, to hunt much. Like during the fall, I mean, we were getting ready to play games, and for 4 years of my life, I'm sitting in Los Angeles. Like, what am I supposed to do here? So I think for me, it was the media world was how I followed along with people, what they were up to, what different states. I think that's where Instagram has really created, um, you know, a positive impact in our lives where, we were able to follow along with other people across the country and be able to network and see what everyone else was about. And so that was originally what drew me to, I guess, just like the media world and the content creation, just because I enjoyed following it. And I think it was something that I was like, oh, I wonder how I would, what my style would be like or how I would capture photos or, and then and then it started to turn into this thing of like, um, finding a way to get into this to the outdoor space, how to tag along more with hunts and um, how to make it. In the end, I think it was how do I turn this into my full time career? How do I just become part of the outdoor industry and without somebody who is just has the most knowledge or the most experience or it's like I'm not going to go have a show first of all. A lot of it's we're in a different generation now where like the outdoor channel and it's we're not
Bye
no one's
bye.
watching TV
Yeah.
as much as they were, so I'm like I'm not
Hmm.
going to have a show. How else am I going to do this? What other ways are possible? So yeah, photography just kind of felt like something that I just picked up and started doing. It was kind of just organically happening, and then now kind of seeing some different phases of like this like love and interest of like producing and um just the whole production side of things. I'm like, I'm currently looking at different options of like kind of furthering my education and kind of taking it beyond the outdoor space. And I have some ties back in LA and Hollywood, and so I'm like, where do I take this? Because I know that where I'm at right now is not the end of it. So that's kind of neither here nor there, but it's been on my brain for the last 24 hours. So yeah, I think in the end it just happened, man, to tell you the truth. And then I just started taking a couple photos. I was like, oh, I'm actually not horrible at this. And then like found some different people that inspired me. And then I've like just recently, I think, really found my style and like the way I like to create and what makes me different than other people. So, which is, I think, what every artist wants to get to is how do you become your own person and be different than the next than everybody else, I guess. So, yeah, it's been again, like I said, right recently it's been like kind of like rolling and the ball's moving and it's nice.
Can you touch on the Omni Collective? Is that like your photography company, or what is that?
Yeah, that's it's kind of an all-encompassing what I want it to be is an all-encompassing like creative agency production company where it's kind of a one-stop shop. There's different branches that my goal with it there's different branches in the Omni Collective. There's like the private client space where, I it's kind of what I'm doing right now, where you go on a trip or on a hunt or on a fishing
Hmm.
trip, and then, you want that experience captured by somebody. I come along with you. I take photos for you. It's almost like a wedding photographer would take
Yep.
pictures of somebody's wedding. So that's my kind of what I have offered right now, and then I want to add another branch to it that's um, between still imagery, motion picture, um, graphic design. Like it's kind of you just come through and I got everything you need. Just kind of again the production side of things where I'm just like can um, you know, divvy that out, and whether you're a brand or you have a story to tell, I want to be able to offer that full on production experience. And then I've even had some ideas of like doing some clothing designs and drops and stuff like that. So it's kind of my mind's just going in so many different places. And the Omni Collective, I felt like when we first started it, my girlfriend and I wanted it to be this like never ending what we could do with, like, hence the Omni Collective was literally anything, anywhere, anybody, whatever you want to do, you come to the Omni Collective and we'll make it happen for you. So
Really
yeah,
cool.
that's kind of the little gist.
That's really cool. Yeah, I got a lot of photography guys that listen to the show. Quite a few of my friends mess around with photography. So we'll just get this out of the way now. Go-to body, go-to lens. If you can only have one for the day, you're filming a hunt or taking pictures of somebody's hunt, what are you going with? Because everybody wants to know.
I think I may have an interesting take than most people do. Um, I am a Leica fiend. I love Leica. I think the concept of shooting on a Leica, the colors, the creativity, everything about it, I think is like what um, what sets somebody apart. Who's shooting on a Leica, and for better or for worse. But I would say right now, if I could shoot anything on a hunt, um, it would be a Q series. I haven't shot, obviously the Q3 just came out. But I'm I'm simple. I don't need a zoom lens. I'll just use my legs. I love the 28 wide angle lens, and um I think yeah, for me, I would throw away every other body. I shoot on Canon R5 too. And I like that as well. It's just nothing compares to my Leica, and honestly, like what the what holding and like creating with that body, what it does to my mental is something unique. Like it just makes me want to. There's like this. I feel so much more comfortable, and like I already know this direction that I want to go to every time I'm shooting it. So, um, yeah, I would say that would be like my one-stop shop. I don't need any other body for the rest of my life, which is
That's
which is
cool.
a lot of people would say that's so limiting, but
Yeah, I think they would, but I think that's cool that you found what you liked and you're just rolling with it, man. It makes you feel it makes you feel a certain type of way. I hate that saying, but true, and
yeah,
you're rolling
no,
with it. Yeah.
yeah, it's the truth though. And I think especially on a hunt on in the backcountry too, like not having to bring these people that bring big 7200s and
Yeah.
um, even bigger. It's like it's just so much weight, and like to have a little cotton carrier and just throw a Q on there is like that's so convenient.
Yeah. And you're such a
That's
small guy anyways, like, you don't want to be carrying all that weight around.
I mean, I think for me it's like if I want to get on the other side somewhere, I don't want to have to worry about the weight that I'm carrying. Like I
Mhm.
just
I
regardless of
get
how
it, man.
big, it's like I just want to go. And that feels you're just not worried about, switching lenses or doing all this stuff. It's like I got what I got. And that's it.
I get it, man. I get it. You want to talk some ball? I love talking ball. You
Sure.
want to talk some ball?
Stock
How are
ball.
the Vikings looking? How are they looking?
Dude, I'm actually really excited. I think they're gonna be good this year. I think
They got
um
some guys.
they they have a heck of a roster, I'll tell you that
Mhm.
much. But I've got still got some buddies there, and being able to chat with them a little bit about some of the additions that they've made. And I mean, it's a brand new team. Like
Yeah.
being gone 2 years. Um, I was just running around. I was like, there's like 10 guys here that I know. A lot of them are new or young or whatever. It's like they've just really changed a lot this year. And um, like it was big. Like any coach would, they're going to come in and kind of start picking away and doing their own thing. So there was a big change from, the last year of Mike Zimmer to Kevin O'Connell, but then this second year of Kevin O'Connell is like, whew, I mean, some of the staff that I've seen were like, oh, dude, it's so different here. And it's, yeah, it's kind of cool. I think they're going to be good this year. I think they're going to be, they have some really powerful weapons on offense, and I think their defense is only improved. So
Yeah, I mean they were
I
good
became a
last year.
fan. Huh?
I said they were damn good last year.
They sure were. I think there were just some pieces on defense like you just can't win too many games when you're giving up 33 points a game. So,
Hmm.
um, but I think it'll be interesting to watch. The entire NFL experience this year, I think, is going to be fun. There's going to be some teams that I think are gonna. I think like the Jaguars are going to be kind of cool. Like,
Oh yeah.
they got some weapons too, man. I think it's going to be an interesting deal to watch a lot of these teams this year. So yeah,
You're Don't sweat it, bro. You're good.
I'm on a podcast. Yeah.
I love
Um,
that. We're
but
keeping
yeah,
that,
man,
brother.
I think it'll be interesting to watch them. I'm a fan. So
Yeah, that's cool, man.
what is
So
what
USC, you went to USC, correct?
went to USC? Yep, that was fun too. I think they're gonna be good. I mean, they're 2 games in, but I think this is gonna be a really interesting year for them too because getting ready to play in the Big Ten. I think in terms of recruiting and starting to bring on some different guys because I mean, they're gonna have to change the way they play in the end. Like they're
Hmm.
gonna need some big boys on the line of scrimmage, and they're gonna have to play defense. It can't be this, in my opinion, it can't be this Oklahoma, give up 50, score 55. Like you can't
Hmm.
do that in the Big Ten. And you know, I'm not trying to get too opinionated on here, but I think if the defense looks anything like it did last year, some moves need to be made. So, but
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think that being a part of the Big Ten is only going to improve the football team and just the what they offer, what they bring to the NCAA, and I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be good for that school to kind
Are
of
you,
get out of the Pac-12 and play.
yeah, everybody's leaving, so they got to go
I know.
somewhere. Where are you
Pac-12 is
from,
kind of
man?
like, where am I
Yeah, it's
from?
got to be. Yeah.
I'm from Sacramento, just 20 minutes northeast of Sacramento.
Okay. So you got recruited by USC then? Who else?
Um, every Pac-12 school except for Stanford, and then Tennessee, Alabama, Wisconsin, Michigan. Um, yeah.
USC because it's close to home, or like what stood out?
Um, I grew up an SC fan for sure. I think, um, it was hard not to be a fan watching, anywhere from 2005 to 2010. Like that was, such a good time to be a Trojan fan. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
um, I would say that was a big part. It just felt so right. I don't know um, where how to even describe it now, but it just felt like the perfect place to be. And then being close to home, it was nice. My parents never missed a game. So it was just one of those things, like it just, when they offered and the coaching staff that was there at the time, I fell in love with the university, the education, the alumni. Like this, they talked about the Trojan family so much, and I'm hoping to kind of put that to use here soon again. And but it's hard sometimes to explain when it just felt perfect. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's um, I wouldn't go back and change it anyway. I think my dad's always talked about, how it's gonna impact my life outside of football and, what this education was gonna be like. And I'm now, a couple years outside of the game. I'm kind of like, all right, like how can I use this USC degree and who do I know that can, help my life out? So,
Hmm.
which I think they look out for their own, and that's the coolest part. I think, like I said, I'm hoping to kind of experience it soon, but I'm excited for them.
Well, it's a crazy prestigious university, man. Like everybody knows SC, like everybody, especially with football. And like you said, um, they're good now, but they've been really, really good over the past, decade or two. What'd you study in school?
I have a communications degree,
Nice. That's why you're
which
good at podcasts. There we go.
yeah, I wasn't, I left kind of like, I think that's part of, the system that we live in. It's like, the fact that I had to choose what I was going to like study and hope to partake in the future. It's kind of a bummer because I think that there would have been a lot of other avenues that I would have pursued if I would now make a decision to go to school or to go study something. I think that would be, it just makes more sense. Like, why are you letting an 18-year-old kid try and figure out what he wants to do for the rest of his life? So I
Right.
went through and I was like, I'm just going to do something as broad as possible. Like, I just want a piece of paper from USC and then we'll figure it out from there. Cause so many people when I was growing up, they would say, like, you're going to get a job and they're going to teach you everything you need to know anyway.
Hmm.
So just get the paper. It's like, all right, cool. But now here I am, like, all right, I know what I want to do. Let's figure out a way to fine tune this. And I'm hoping that, again, it's like if I do end up trying to produce or pursue like this production deal, like if I want to go back to school and like join this very elite, prestigious film school, it's like I don't know if I will, if I could, if I was like, if I had a better chance if I would have, been more, if that's the line that I would have taken while I was at school. But, we'll figure that out. Whether it's God's will or not, we'll see.
Yeah. No. And that's so I have a criminal justice degree and I went on to be a cop. And dude, I shit you not, I used less than 5% of what I learned in school in order to do my job. And like it's wild. Like, yeah, I got a piece of paper, it looks pretty. Like I don't even have the degree. My parents have it. I'm like, keep it, man. Like I mean, because my dad said the same thing. He's like, hey, you get that piece of paper, like that's the most important part, and you're gonna have to figure it out after that. But that piece of paper means something. I'm not sure if it means as much today as it used to. That's just my opinion, and we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But it's a big deal, man. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's become this, like everyone or the majority of people have a degree than not. Actually, I don't,
Mhm.
that's might be a false statement, but it
I
seems
don't know.
there.
It sounds right, doesn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, but there's definitely more people that have a degree than they did back then.
Yeah, probably.
But so that's maybe why it doesn't feel like it's as necessary, but I still think it is. I think there's still plenty of jobs out there that do ask for a degree and need a degree, and I don't know. I think you could do your own thing and start your own business, and you don't need a degree, but
Right.
what are the chances of you starting a product or like a successful business?
Yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
just one of those people, but I don't
Yeah.
think it'll go away for a while where you're just like, no, you don't need a degree. That's
Yeah.
stupid. It's like,
We'll see. We'll see.
yeah. Um, but yeah.
So, did you play inside backer or an outside?
Yeah, I was an inside linebacker.
Can I ask you a question? So in high school, did you play inside backer too?
hmm
What'd you weigh in high school when you were playing?
Um, I was pretty heavy. I was a lot heavier in high school than I was in college. I was probably 250.
You played inside backer at 250 pounds?
Mm.
Dude, I played inside backer in high school at 170. But I was
Uh,
fast as fuck, so they couldn't catch me.
Yeah, I was heavy in high school. I used to eat like a fucking dumpster. And then I didn't really start losing weight probably or like watching what I eat until my junior year of college, and then I started kind of thinning down. But yeah, and you don't even that was like you didn't need to be big. I just was big. I just was
Yeah.
thick, and
Could you
um,
run?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you kind of have to in these days.
Yeah. Facts.
But I definitely, I wasn't like I felt a little bit. I felt always felt more instinctual than I was like athletic, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it does.
There's plenty of people out there on the field that were more athletic than me, but I would like to say that I'd be a step ahead of them because just purely off of instincts or play recognition or studying, whatever it was, like I tried to be, kind of make up wherever I lost in athletics. I don't know.
Who was the like most freakish athlete you ever played against or played with? I mean, I know you've played some dudes in the, in your time.
Yeah, I would say that that always comes to mind. I would say Dory Jackson was one of the most freakishly athletic people. I'd say Harrison Smith is one of the like weirdest, freakish, like he's just so calculated almost where it's not like he's gonna jump out of the gym or run faster than anybody else, but he's like a cat. Um, the kind of guy that'll like lay out, be fully parallel with the ground, and then somehow end up on his feet. Like
Yeah.
he's just to do it at 35 years old or however old he is, like he's just doesn't even seem to be missing a step. So I would say one of those two are probably the like some of the most athletic, and then there's some big boys. Um, who this kid named Jordan Simmons. He was an O lineman at USC. He was, I think he was a senior when I was a freshman, but he was like 350, huge, 6'5", 350, and he was fast as hell and like just agile and quick, and he was another one of those just freaks.
You played guard or tackle?
He played guard.
Yeah.
He
At
was a
350.
dude. He was so big, and we all we used to talk about him like as playing linebacker when he'd come around pull.
Hmm.
Um, some of us would like just joke about not wanting to hit him or anything, but this dude was huge and very athletic. But who else? Yeah, I mean there's a lot of them. There's a lot of freaks that are just kind of. I mean, Justin Jefferson's a freak.
Yeah.
Um, just the stuff that he can do with his body in the air and all that stuff. I mean, there's some people are just built differently and they're good at what they do.
Did you go to the combine?
Did I go to the combine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew that you were gonna be like, what were you projected to get drafted? Like right around where you went, or what was the word like coming out of school?
I thought I was gonna go in third, and then left in or I got drafted in the fifth. So, um, you just never know people what
Hmm.
teams need, and so I got third to fifth as a projection, and then I was a little bummed when I didn't go on the second day, and then um, but it all happened for a reason. And I think I'm, being a part of the Minnesota Vikings organization was like where I was supposed to be. And my career didn't play out the way that I wanted it to, but I think um, like just being able to go back and shoot with them and do, they just really took care of me even through open heart surgery. Everything was just like they just were a top-notch organization that I felt, I still feel very lucky to be a part of. Um, and thankful for sure. So, God, it all happened for a reason.
And I want to jump into that, but I gotta ask this dude, and I'm sorry because I'm sure you get it a lot. But what was that phone call like
Hmm.
on the third day of the draft? Like, what in the hell did that feel like? Because you knew you were going, but like you still have to actually go through the process and get drafted and interview with all the teams and combine and shit. But when you got that call, what was that feeling like?
Um, well, there was a couple teams that went and that I thought I was going to get drafted, and then um, uh,
Who was that, if you don't mind me asking?
well, I thought I was going to go. Thought I was going to be in Cincinnati. I thought I was going to be a Jet. I thought I was going to be in LA with the Chargers. So there was like a couple teams that I was like, well, they don't have, a very deep linebacking core. Um, and then when the Vikings drafted me, I was like, oh, what? Like this is, um, they had a really deep room. So I was kind of shocked, to be honest. And then, so I was a little bit, I think right when the fifth started, I was like, like got a pretty big crew of people with me, just to take more of it to take like my mind off of things,
Hmm.
less of like a party. And then so I was like, I walked over to my dad right when the fifth started, and I was like, dude, I need a beer. Like I need to chill out because I'm like, this is getting to be a little bit too much. And so we kind of walked off. He's my dad's had Coors Light in his fridge since I was a like a child. So he's like, here, take this Coors Light. And so I started drinking, had a couple beers, and I was like, all right, like feeling a little bit more just relaxed. And then when they called me, I walked off into the garage, and I just like beamed ear to ear, like, damn, this is cool. Talked to, Mike Zimmer and Adam Zimmer and Rick Spielman, the whole nine, and it was a pretty cool deal. And so I was just thankful to have to get drafted. And they had there was a really good class that we all came in together. So it's it's one of those another indescribable feelings of just like you it was an awesome feeling, but also like words can't really describe it. So yeah, that's I'll remember it for the rest of my life, and then pretty soon after, I'm like, let's get there, and I started drinking and all that stuff. So it was good. It was a good time. Uh, yeah.
Really cool, man. That's amazing. I mean, you got to be a stud fifth round. Yeah, I get that. But so you get drafted. You're kind of up and down on the practice squad, right? I did a little bit of recon on you.
Yeah, I was so my rookie year, um they there was a couple DBs. One a DB that was injured, and then um a couple DBs like had some different off the field issues. So when I got pulled into the GM's office during cuts, he's like, "Hey, you're not uh you were like 54 kind of thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, we had to like have enough room for a couple DBs." I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "You won't get claimed because we like put a little, like there's a couple different moves they can make to where like no one can like somebody they want somebody that like they can't get claimed by other teams that just like go right through waivers or whatever." So that ended up being the case, and so it was like 4 games. Somebody came off the IR, they moved him up, and then um, I was on, I was active for like 2 or 3 games in a row, and then something else happened. Practice squad for a game, and then I was the rest of the time I was active. So it was kind of just a weird like roster deal. And then we had some linebackers. A couple of them got hurt, and then it was just kind of like that. And then my second year, I was had open heart surgery, so um, that that rookie year was the only time that I was really inactive.
Can you
Um,
walk me through that surgery? How did that come about?
so that was 2020 during COVID. We had to go into camp. You had to have 3 negative COVID tests. Um, so the first day or the first test, I had a presumptive positive, and which I think is like a false positive. I guess I don't really understand the terminology there. And then the NFL makes you or had everybody who tested positive do like further testing. So I had an echocardiogram, I had a MRI, and then they were kind of all being weird about it. And they're like, "Hey, we need you to go see this cardiologist." And she started to explain to me like, "Hey, your heart is 3 times the size of a normal heart. You have a bicuspid aortic valve, where your heart is through the the flaps, it was like slipping and sliding, so the blood was being regurgitated back into my heart. And then so blood wasn't really being pumped to the rest of my body. It was just being regurgitated, and then my brain would tell my heart, "Hey, you need we need more blood," and so that my heart was just producing more blood, and then it was growing like a muscle because it was working harder than normal. So, um, I didn't. The first cardiologist I saw, she was telling me that I need um, mechanical valve, and I'll be on blood thinners for the rest of my life, and I pretty much refused to accept that, and I was kind of pissed that she was like that was my only option. Because when I met the person who then did my surgery, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna get you to play again. I just looked at your MRI and your we can do this couple things, and I think we'll be able to get you back on the field." And so I'm like, all right, so this person wanted me to be on blood thinners for the rest of my life, and this person's like, "Hey, you're gonna play football again." And so I was very excited to have gotten the second opinion, and this surgeon he's one of the best, if not the best in the world, and it was a really like very like roller coaster event type deal, um and yeah, he then he did the surgery, and he was really happy with his work, and um I think from today on it feels like normal. And he would even he said he went as far as saying like, you were broke and then I fixed you. So he's like, you're going to be better than you've ever been in your life. And so that was kind of an interesting um when he said that, I was like, all right, like what does that even mean? But that was just he was successful at what he did, and so everything ended up working out. Yeah, it was kind of a weird deal, but um COVID. I think I'm probably one of the only people in the world that can say COVID saved my life. So, kind of a cool deal.
Yeah. Yeah, because you felt nothing before
No,
that.
no, I have a kind of a weird, like, sometimes if I don't know the name of it, but if I like don't warm up proper and my heart rate kind of gets, if I, so if I go to like 0 to 100 really fast, like
Sure.
my heart rate will start to get kind of wonky, and like, I've seen it get as high as like 220. Um, but that's been that's happened still like even after surgery, so I think it's something totally separate. But yeah, I felt nothing, and they went as far as saying, because I had said like, can we like monitor it and like figure it out after the season so I can play, because I was really excited to have I thought I was gonna have a very very productive second year. I was going to walk in and hopefully compete for a starting spot. And there was just a lot of things that I was like, I just want to try and make it through this year. And they're like, yeah, we could monitor it, or you could die. Like there would be no like in between. It's like you're either good or you're dead. So
Yeah.
yeah, they were like they had gone off on that said, and like I said, COVID saved my life.
What led to retirement then? Were you still
Um,
like can you technically still play, or did you just feel like it was best to move on?
I would say both. I think
Yeah.
I could technically still play, but I gave it kind of um, that first preseason game. I was having a decent camp, but I was just kind of like not really into it anymore. And I had told my girlfriend or not at the time, current girlfriend, I said, I think, this is going to be either the best game of my life or I'm going to be done. Um, and I think the signs are going to be pretty clear. So when I had a concussion in the first quarter, or a couple minutes into the second quarter, I think it was, I walked into the locker room after being evaluated, being tested, and I was like, man, that's about as clear as you can ask for. A
Yeah.
sign from God. Like, not only is it like not a very, I wasn't having a horrible game, but it wasn't like, very like productive for me. And then to go into it and feel like I then hurt my, or like I damaged my brain more, or like got, even in, like the biggest fear of football is how it impacts your brain. And so for me to
Yep.
get a concussion, I'm like, yep, that's about as clear as you could say it. So, I went into the locker room, called my dad, and was like, "Hey, that's it. Hope you had fun watching me play football because I'm done." So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I was. It just felt like the right time and time to be done and move on. And um, it's been a roller coaster 2 years, but it's been. I think we're kind of on the other side now, and hopefully moving forward for the better.
You mentioned like that concussion was like a sign of God. Is that what you consider it almost?
I think so. I felt like it was. It was. I've had. I would say I've had more um aggressive or like more noticeable concussions than that one, but I felt like it kind of like knocked me out a little bit. I was laying on the ground for probably a minute too long, or a couple of seconds too long, where they ran over and they were like talking to me and stuff, and I was fine. I was actually fine, but they wouldn't let me play, and so it was kind of like to not to not uh, have it be too um, negative, for it to be like only
Yeah.
slight, and for me to go out on that note is I thought was like, yeah, the best case scenario in a way.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
would
like
it would have
probably
sucked,
better than you know having your Achilles explode or something. Like 9 months, 12 months recovery. Like, yeah, I agree.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
asked that because, man, good on you for listening to that, for kind of reading the writing, so to speak. Because and this podcast is not about me, but I can relate to what you're saying because I had a really big kind of sign from God recently in my life a couple months ago where it's like, dude, I'm a fucking idiot if I don't listen to this. Like, it's
Mhm.
right here. Like, almost like forcefully, like shoving it down my throat, being like, dude, what are you going to do? And
Right.
I already knew the answer. Like time to move on type of thing. And it would have been just boohoo of me to not listen to that. So I think a lot of people, might ignore these signs and it can get them in trouble. So good on you for realizing that your time was now and for going with it because I've been there too.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I was recently talking to somebody about like how to accept or to listen to those signs, and when do you know that you're answering it correctly. Because I think that there's times where I look back today and I'm like, oh, did I answer, should I have, was that a sign of like, hey, keep pursuing it, don't give up, kind of thing. um
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, it's an interesting, I think there's so many ways you can spin something to make it look like kind of whatever mood you're in. Like if you're kind of down in the dumps and regretting something, you could look at the way that God's, or something happened in your life and you're like, should I have done it this way instead? Would my life be different? So I don't know. I think I've gone back and forth where I'm like, this is, this is like I wonder what it would have been like if I would have stuck with it a little bit longer. But um, I think recently, like I've been saying a while, it's like recently it feels like life is starting to finally progress and get better in the area that I've chosen to be a part of. And so now I'm feeling like, okay, now I made the right decision. This is great. So yeah, it's just kind of your whole, I think the mood of whatever you're in could like impact so much of your life that it's like hard to, it's almost just like if you start looking back, you're gonna screw yourself, I think.
Again, man, cliche, but you know this one, like everything happens for a reason. And it's true, man. Like there was a reason that you got drafted by the Vikings. There's 30 odd other teams that could have taken you. And, with you having open heart surgery and then trying to make a comeback, so to speak, and then getting a concussion and being like, hey, we're done here. A lot of organizations might not have treated you how the Vikings are treating you right now. You know
Yeah,
what
they
I
would
mean?
have.
Like it sounds like they really have your back and they're happy that you're around the guys and want to give you, I mean, opportunities to work on you know what I mean? Like you
Sure.
you're still very much involved with the organization and they seem receptive to that. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason you got picked by the Minnesota Vikings opposed to, team XYZ.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I think that's become more apparent, you know, being back and being around, like, it's um they showed me nothing but love being there, and it's like it's not like I was some guy that was around for 10 years. Like I was, I was had a short stint there, and they still treated me like I was, the most important person while I was there. And so that's cool. Yeah, no, like you said, there was a reason that I was drafted by the Vikings, and for that reason I'm grateful.
Yeah. We'll switch gears, man. You're into hunting, obviously. What's the go-to hunt if you had to pick one?
Oh man. I think there's a lot of hunts that I still um haven't experienced. Um that I think my favorite could still be out there. I don't know. But and I think there's something about being in the backcountry. I'm actually I don't do it often, but it's been something that man, I feel like there's this like solo hunt versus group hunt kind of argument where it's like, oh, these experiences are supposed to be shared with your closest friends or your favorite hunting partner or whatever. But I've kind of recently, I grew up more of a waterfowl hunter than anything. Just again because of the time of year, like being in California, I'd be able to hunt through January, where the football season was over. Where like, you know, I just it was never enough time for me to, go shoot a deer, elk hunt, or whatever it was. So the waterfowl space was something that I could just do while playing football. And so, but I think that there's just something about a solo hunt, whether you're in the backcountry or just waterfowl hunting, you need to do what you want to do and like make your own decisions and like I think being in the backcountry alone is one of the most like intimidating yet like in most like positively impacting thing you could do on
Yes.
yourself.
Hmm.
Like you can walk away after a solo hunt in the backcountry and be like, whoa, like that
Life
changed me,
changing.
life
Yep.
changing.
Hmm.
So I would say my favorite hunt actually would just probably be a solo hunt. I think that there is so much to be said about having, um, your closest friends or buddies with you, and especially on a hunt that sucks.
Yes.
You get to all suck together and like
Yeah.
be miserable together, which is very um, I think again life changing as well, and also like relationship changing.
Yeah.
But a solo hunt, I think, is like one of those that you leave like whether you're successful or not, you're like, holy smokes, that just changed my life. So yeah, I don't know if you hear that much, but
No,
um,
what I've noticed about the solo deal is you can't hide from yourself. Like you know what you should do for the most part, and if you skimp or if you sleep in or if you don't chase that bugle that's a mile away with 30 minutes left to light, um, nobody's gonna know besides you. And if you're going out there for the right reasons, you can really learn who the hell you are. Like if you have what it takes, if you're no quit attitude, if you're, get a little bit soft when shit gets hard, you can't hide. And no one's gonna know. That's the beauty of it, right? So what do you do when people aren't looking type of deal?
yeah, totally true. I think um, that's life.
Yes.
And I think being outside of sports, being outside of the team atmosphere, like a group hunt too, though, um, no one really cares. And
Yeah.
that's something that's hard to grasp.
Hmm.
Um, is you think that people care about what what you do, or you're like, yeah, you have this like kind of always over looking over your shoulder, like that coach that really cares if you do that extra rep, or if you're watching that film, or like you said, like if you hear that bugle and you go and chase it down, or at least give it a shot, like you think people care, but they don't. They don't care what
Correct.
you do. And like I said, I think that's a weird thing to try and grasp, because for most of your life, you have this like weird voice in your head that says that people care. Um, and then when you finally realize that they don't, you're like, oh, this is kind of a lonely feeling.
Yeah.
Um, that you have to then, I mean, I think you try and fill people or fill that your circle with people that at least do try and show that you care or that they care. But even then, like if you start to go down a rabbit hole, people are worried about themselves, and that's again a
Mhm.
very lonely thing to try and figure that out and learn. That I think I've recently picked up on a little bit more. It's like, all right, we're all out here by ourselves. That
I think
sucks. So.
I think you're totally right on that too. And when you have those thoughts, when you're out there alone, they're louder. They're
Mhm.
more magnified. So what, we're having a conversation like, we're not gonna lose sleep over the fact that nobody cares. But when you're out there by yourself, like you can get really fixated on something like that and then be like, why am I doing this? I'm fucking so alone. It's dark. There's grizzlies out here. Like you start questioning everything. Well, I think it's because you fucking care. And I think that's the best reason to be out there is because you care. You care what you're doing and how you're carrying yourself and so on. But I just think that it just gets magnified and even more loud than it might already be. But yeah, that's a good point, man. Good point.
I th- I think that why in anything that you do that kind of sucks with the hope for either the finished product or just whatever um, whatever does mean something to you. Like I was just talking to somebody yesterday about I want to feel an ultra marathon on my body. I want to feel 100 miles in my
No,
body.
you don't.
I
No,
I
you
really
don't.
I've
I'm
been
telling you, dog. No, you don't.
have you are you a runner?
I run. Yeah, I don't consider myself a runner, but yeah, I run quite frequently. Yeah, done
Um,
some ultras.
you have done some ultras.
Yeah, yeah. I can't. I haven't done 100 yet, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So I think
try to do two next year.
yeah, there's been a recent kind of over the last year, I'd say, maybe a year and a half or so, I've like um kind of digested that thought a lot more. Like, oh, I really do want to run one, and just to feel it, and then whether I do it again, um, after I finish, I'll like figure that out when it comes. But right now, I'm like, I really want to do it, and so somebody's like, hey, we should sign up for the Leadville 100 next year. I'm like, okay, like let's just attack like, you know,
One of the
very
hardest.
one of the hardest ones. All right, cool, yeah. Um, but it's that same concept of like, why do we do it? Why even this morning, like going for a run, it was a pretty short run, but it was like nice to get out there and I'm like that same why. Why are we doing this? It's early, no one's up, it's cold, I'm like, but finding that why or having a why is probably the most important thing that you could have during that why, like when you ask yourself that.
Yeah.
Um, but it also does there's something satisfying to have an answer to your why and also like to stay out there and finish something that you get done, which I think is more so what I feel like I say I want to feel the 100 on my body. I think I want to know what it feels like when it's done, like when I complete it, when I sign up for it and to train the whole thing. Yes,
Mhm.
test my limits, see where I'm at mentally. How do I handle the suck? But I also want to feel when it's done. And I'm like, wow, I just finished 100 miles. Like it's one of the hardest things anybody can ever do or accomplish. To set out from zero and to finish it is like that's something that I don't think I could be. I don't think I could lay in my grave without having said that I've done at least one. So I feel like it's more of um, the satisfaction of finishing something or going out by yourself and killing an elk or whatever it may be by yourself that is like the greatest feeling in the world.
Yes.
um and again why it can be such a life-changing deal.
Yeah. You got me fired up, bro. I was not expecting you to say that you want to feel a 100-mile ultra. That's cool. If you decide you want to do it, don't freeball the training. I'll get you right. I got a guy who coaches a lot of people. He's very elite and very affordable. So just holler at me if you want to do this. I'll get you a coach and he'll take care of you
Yeah,
big
I
time.
don't think that this is by no means the best analogy that I can put together right now, but the first time I got a tattoo, you walk in and it's like you're anticipating it to hurt so bad that you like over prepare yourself and like, oh, it's not that bad. So I
Yeah.
feel like I would probably err on the side of like I'm not gonna walk in and be like, I'm gonna 100 miles, nothing. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably could see myself
Yeah.
maybe even overtraining, kind of
Yeah.
thing, like just trying to be so ready for it. So, um, but yeah, I don't think I could, I don't see myself like just, I got it, I'll figure it out. But so I appreciate you saying that. I think,
Yes.
I will definitely by January 1, I'll be like ready to seriously attack 100 mile race and go from there.
Well, you better holler at me. I'll get you right, man. I
Oh
promise.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I got you. So I want to jump back here and then I'll get you out of here, dude. You mentioned that you went on a run this morning and you're kind of like, why, why am I out here? It's cold, it's early. Like, did you know last night that you were gonna run this morning?
Yeah. Yeah, I was so look at me. I've taken a couple days off just because I was like I've been doing like some little go work out at a gym that I love and so like up until I ran and I've been running more than I've ever had in my life, but I was like kind of like, I don't know, I think right now I should probably focus on I've got a couple projects coming up and I'm like, oh, I should probably focus on those projects instead of running and then working out later. It's like that just kind of doesn't seem what's like somebody that has stuff to do should be doing. So I
Yeah.
stopped running. I stopped running for like a week and a half. But I was like, and then this last night, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna run tomorrow. I'm gonna get back onto my like 2 a day deals because it makes me feel so much better. So, yes, the answer is yes.
I think that's your answer then. Because you already made the conscious decision last
Oh
night that you
yeah,
were fixing to run this morning.
yep.
So nobody would have known if you skimped on that run besides yourself. Right?
Uh,
You were already committed to the run the previous night. So if you would have skimped this morning, nobody would have known, but you would have known, and that holds weight. At least it does with me. And I mean, I know you have a work ethic, and you played in the fucking NFL, so I feel like if you tell yourself you're gonna do something, you usually follow through. Am I correct with that?
yeah, no, that's well, Trinity, you didn't hear, but she said, and me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I am noticeably more of an asshole when I don't work out.
Dude, welcome to the fucking club.
So, so that's something that I've realized is like not working out is actually detrimental to a lot of other people than just me. Um, I just become pretty bitter and like again, kind of more of ashamed and like embarrassed of myself, therefore turning me into like this like angry, like disgusted person. So, yeah. So Trinity said, and me, because um, it's she can feel it too. Like, oh, you didn't work out today. If
Well,
I said I was going to do something and I didn't do it,
yeah.
that's when usually something is like gets triggered inside of me. Where like if I would have just said I'm not like I'm that week and a half of like I'm not going to run because I'm actually trying to like work on projects. It didn't hit me, didn't trigger me because I'm like oh I'm actually not going to run right now because I have something that I need to do.
Yeah.
But like to say because that's it's so easy to say I'm going to go work out tomorrow
Hmm.
at night. I think
Yeah.
that's when you're like when you're laying in bed and you're like lazy and you're comfortable and you're like in your most like I guess the most comfortable mindset. That's the easiest time to say I'm going to work out or I'm going to do something that I don't want to do. It's when you wake up in the morning and
Hmm.
it's 5 o'clock in the morning and it's cold and it's dark and everyone's sleeping. To say I'm going to go run is the hardest time to go run or the
Yeah.
hardest time to go do anything because you're like, I'm in this comfortable bed. I have to
Hmm.
beat that first. I have to get into my cold shower first.
Yeah.
This sucks. I'm going to start my day off with something absolutely horrible. Fuck
Hmm.
me. And then you go. So I think there's nothing.
Cues up your whole day though, don't it?
Oh, sheesh. I mean, uh,
And
I
Trinity
think,
appreciates it too, I'm sure. I
mm,
know my wife does, man. Like I'll be saying something or I'll be acting away and be like, "Did you work out this morning?" No. You're like, "You need to
yeah,
go. You need to go. You're being an asshole."
it's the truth though. There's something about it. I mean, it's kind of a bummer that not like more people don't understand that concept because a lot of people don't see how beneficial working out really is, and then, um, but those are the people that really need to see it, but they don't. So And that's a whole different space and a whole different conversation that doesn't need to be had on this one. So,
It is. It is, man. I want to be respectful of your time, Cam. I really appreciate you coming on, brother. Where can people find you?
my personal Instagram is at underscore killicam, where I post, shit that makes me happy. And then at underscore the Omni Collective is my obviously the Omni Collective page. And uh, I try not to consume. I just try to create. That's my main goal. Um, Instagram can be beneficial and horrible at the same time. So I try to just post things that I enjoy creating, and then yeah, like I said, just not consume as much and compare and all that stuff. So yeah,
That's a great way to end it, man. Don't consume as much and create more. Really
absolutely.
cool. Really cool, man. Thanks again. Stay on the line and I'll get you out of here.
Cool.